How's it going, YouTube? 118 Seth Shadow here. Today is going to be another big market watch with a focus on some releases that got announced today, and it's also a big week next week with Set 7 sneak peeks for outside Japan, and Set 8 is getting released in Japan next Friday. So, with that in mind, let's go ahead and get right into it. So, first card I want to go over is a card that has seen a recent buyout from the SP side, Steam Battler Gungrum. The card is heavily available as a double R. It's from set 1, but its SP copy has been bought out as of about half a month ago. But you can see that the lowest listing at this point is $14. But nobody has bought this card for more than 7. So I'd say this card has become almost a solid 5. It's effectively played as a alternate to Brainwasher, now that Brainwasher has become really expensive to play. But it can also be played alongside Brainwasher just for the fact that it soul charges. And its alternate skill is not too bad. Soul Blast 3 to draw a card, so if you're playing a Dark States deck that doesn't really care about how much soul it gets, this card can serve as a pretty good draw engine. But I wouldn't buy into this at the $14 mark. As I said, it's only meant to be an alternate, and the double R is still under $1, so you'd be better off just going with that, because I can't see the justification in buying this at such a high rate. And then, just to take a look at Prison, we've got Aura Battler Princess Agra Rouge, who is a triple R from set 1 and is currently listed for $2 to $3 a piece. This card overall is a pretty solid option for playing Prison, where it gets power, becomes a 15k on attack as long as you've got at least 2 in Prison, or it becomes a 15k shield, which is also pretty solid for a grade 2. And then, of course, the card itself can imprison something when placed on rearguard, so it's incredibly versatile, pretty typical of being a triple rare with this kind of ability. But if you're building Prison and haven't looked at this card yet, I highly suggest you have some of these in your back pocket, as they will definitely be useful down the line. Then, a card that has been covered a number of times over the past few weeks, Inlet Pulse Dragon. So, Maelstrom got announced for set 8 about a week or two ago, and that caused Inlet Pulse to see a very short buyout. But the card has calmed down over the last week and has now found itself in the $30 range for its triple R, which I'd say is where it's going to stay for a while. There were some listings in the $20 range over the last few days, but those either got bought out or got taken down really fast. And then you've got the SP, which is still pretty much bought out, save this one listing for $52. If you want the SP, it would be a good idea to pick this up, given that you can see that it got bought out just under the $50 rate at $43, $45. So there will be players willing to pick this up even in the $50 range. Then, today was also a new announcement from Boosie Road, where we got to see another reveal from set 8 in the form of a grade 2 version of this card, Knight of Blackness Obscured. The grade 2 version shares a lot of traits with this one. It has a skill based off of whether or not Eva is your Vanguard, which gives it 5k power and 5k additional shield. But because it's a grade 2, that means it's a 10k shield automatically. Then it shares the other same trait as Obscured, where it gets an additional effect if called via an effect, and you have 3 research orders. The difference is that this Obscured gets a crit. The new Obscured gets a Vermilion effect. Basically, it gets to attack the entire front row. Which is not bad, but it feels a little awkward for an Eva deck, given that you're more than likely going to be calling the Obscured via Eva mid-battle phase. Meaning if your opponent had intercepts, they were likely going to use them before you even got to swing with the new Obscured. So it's certainly not great, but it's definitely no slouch, I'd say. It could be great depending on the format. But as you can see, the reveals did not really change too many of the prices. Obscured is still in the $9 range, while Eva's around $8 right now. But one thing I will note is that Experiment Successful's attempt at trying to drop seems to have played itself. There were several listings for under $5, which all got eaten up in the last few days, and now the card is back up to the $10 mark. So you could say that this card has found solid footing around at least the $8 mark now. If you can find it for less than $8, that would be your opportunity to pick it up, but otherwise, don't expect it to fall much lower than that. But a card that also got bought out recently, and I did not realize this until my own playset got bought the other day, it's Stealth Fiend Forktail from Set 5. When this unit is placed on rearguard, you can look at the top 7, and if you do, look for a Stealth or a Glitter card and put it into your soul and shuffle your deck. So, since this works with any Stealth or Glitter, it works with the new ride line that was announced this week for Set 8. And in general, this card could be seen in Premium depending on what kind of support comes out, where Soul might be needed. It was a viable option for a prior Kagero build in the past, where before Bushiroad banned a particular card in the deck that made the whole engine work. But this card now only has 2 listings at the $13 mark and was last bought around the $16 mark. I would assume listings might pop up for this around the $15 mark again, and you might get some greedy sellers trying to get 20, 25, but please try not to buy into those, as I'm sure the card will eventually find its way back down to 10. But a card that did fall out for sure over the last month or so is Skull Witch Nemain. The SP version. The Triple R is also dropped off in value, but the SP fell hard. The card was for $50 to $60 for a while, but now you can see we've got a few listings in the $20 range. Then we get back up to the 40s, which probably won't get touched for a while. But it's not too surprising. Blasters in D format don't seem to have as much popularity compared to other decks, and even in Premium, there isn't as much utility for this card. You might play it as a one-of, but otherwise, you don't really get to see much play out of this card at this point. However, it is the main, so I would expect this card to eventually see another rise as it gets older. But compared to the other 2 SPs that we've got on the market right now, this one will probably end up being the least used and least desired. And then, to go over a few things from Lyrical Monasterio Set 3, let's start with the frame rare for our new Perfect Guard, Judith. So, for some reason, over the last few days, this card has been seeing a buyout all the way up to the $30, even $40 mark. It seems another seller has put one up under the $20 mark, so if you're looking for this card, I'd say pick that up now, because I'm certain somebody is going to grab that. And then you've got other frame rares that seem to be really overdoing themselves, like Aura. The double R for this card is around the $6 mark, but you can see that despite the fact that this card has a lot of $20 listings, it hasn't sold since mid-November, even though that was about $33. So it's hard to see this card get bought anywhere at this rate for a while unless someone just caves and starts buying a bunch more copies. But even then, I get the feeling that most collectors have already grabbed their frame rare copies, which is why there's so many still on the market. And then you've got another one, Hydrangea Awaiting Clear Weather Feline, where this card is a rare, and its frame rare is in the $17 range right now. And it was getting bought for a while. Its initial listings were at the $5 mark and got eaten up pretty quickly there. And it's not too much of a surprise given that its effect is pretty solid. When it's placed on rearguard by a grade 3 or greater Vanguard ability, it gets 10k. So it almost perfectly shares the effect of a grade 3 from the Lyrical Trial deck, but that card was a 10k base and a grade 3, so this card has better utility being a shield as well. The only thing is that one got 10k just by being placed. This one needs to be placed by a strong grade 3 or 4 Vanguard, essentially. And then to begin wrapping up today's Market Watch, I want to go over a few things to look out for next week when Minerva gets announced. First one being Tier Square Sorceress, the Holo version. The common version of this card is easy to pick up, but the foil version of this card doesn't have that many cheap listings left. There are a few under 50 cents, then you've got them under $1.50, but after that they start to creep up to $3 and higher. So if you wanted to pick up foils of this, it's best to pick these up now. It's unlikely they'll get any lower than this, and to be fair, this card sees play now and then between a lot of cater decks when there's just not enough support for them. It saw play in Youthburg, and it can see play in some other ones, maybe Tigrea sometimes, but Youthburg was where it was used most. But it has the potential to work with Minerva, since Minerva is likely going to restand itself, giving you more drive checks, giving you more chances to trigger the card. Then another card that might work with Minerva is Witch of Moonrabbit Rubinia. This card was originally bought out when Tigrea was first announced and was $15 to $20 because its only copy was a Set 2 sneak preview promo. Then it got reprinted in promo packs a few times, so now we've got 4 different versions of it, and the non-foil version right now is underneath $1, so that would be a good pickup. The foil versions are all widely available with the exception of this one, apparently, which is now $5. But this is something you'd want to consider if you're going to build Minerva, given that it builds your soul while also drawing a card. It does cost a counterblast though, so you'll need to be wary of that. And the last card to talk about is Drilling Angel. Another card that will allow you to build soul. It puts a card from drop to soul, then you look at 3 cards from the top of your deck, choose a card with the same name as the card you put in and call it. So the thing is, this card can call from the top of the deck, but that's not the reason you play the card in the first place. The call is icing on the cake. In fact, it's a great plus. What you want it for is the ability to take a card from your drop and just throw it to your soul, so you can soul build, and this lets you soul build for free. Its cost is basically soul building, which is great. There are 2 versions of this card, a holo and a rare, where the rare is closer to the $2 mark and the foil is $3. So not a bad price point to buy into, and if you're looking to bling out your decks, this would be a good time to pick it up, as this card has been at the $5 mark in the past and could see itself rise up even higher. Thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed today's Market Watch. If you did, please like and subscribe. And as I mentioned before, I will continue to be doing my Market Watches every Tuesday and Thursday. And if you have any requests for anything you'd like to see, just let me know and I will incorporate that into my next video. Have a good day, guys.